What's up, Kansas City? This is Keisha, and I'm here at Crow's Coffee in the UMKC area. And I'm here with City Assistant Manager Rick Usher and the owner of Crow's Coffee, Zach Morris. How you doing today, guys?
Great.
Doing great. Thanks a lot.
How you doing?
I'm good. So we're here. We're going to talk about the innovation that coffee shops bring to the Kansas City area, and how you have been, how your business has helped the innovation in Kansas City. Can you give us a little bit more insight into what you do and how long you've been doing it?
Sure. Well, I've been a coffee shop owner for about 2.5 years now. I started this out of pure misery. I worked in the corporate world and decided one day that I wanted to do something that I truly loved. I love community. I love socializing. I love meeting people. And coffee shops were always my go-to place when I was out of town working, because I could always find somebody to communicate with, to talk with about whatever subject we wanted to talk about. So I knew when I quit my job in 2012 that starting a coffee shop would be the perfect thing, or what I wanted to do. And you know, the stuff that goes on in here is it's purely organic. It's stuff that happens just by chance. A lot of times you choose to come to a coffee shop to be by yourself, to have a conversation with, maybe meet your realtor, to look at some houses, or you just meet somebody randomly that you've never met before, and you end up marrying them 2 years later. We've seen that before too. So, the coffee shop brings a lot of people together for a lot of different reasons, and that's why I started this.
So, rightly so. How ironic is it that you got in the business, or what inspired you to get in the business was the coffee shop, the area, the space that it creates, and that's what led you to get in the business. And what do you want to tell us about that?
Well, I mean, I think what happens in coffee shops is unlike what happens in a lot of other social environments. I mean, you've got restaurants, but at a restaurant, you come in, you're on a timeline. You've got to place your order, you get your food. Once you're done with your food, you get up and you go. There are no rules in a coffee shop other than drinking coffee. You come in to do, very simple things. Drink a cup of coffee and have a conversation. But there's also no rules there. There's no expectations of how long you need to be there. Who can I talk to? Can I walk over to that other table and start a conversation because I recognize the person? There's a lot of things that I feel happen a lot more organically in a coffee shop versus a lot of other social places. Because it's a new environment for creativity, for community, I think the rules are still kind of being written on what works in a coffee shop. Like I said before, there's so many things that happen in a coffee shop, from maybe meeting somebody just to talk about how yoga class was, to meeting an investor for a startup with some prominent figures in Kansas City. So you can go. There's just a whole range of things that happen in a coffee shop, and I feel the community really it can be kind of the heartbeat of the community.
Right, absolutely. And it's named Crows. Can you give us a little bit background about why you chose to name the coffee shop Crows?
Well, originally it was another horrible name that I hate to say, so I don't. But it involved the word local and social in the name. And crows are incredibly intelligent. They're very social. They're local to the area. They're dark. They're iconic, brandable. Easy to say, easy to remember, and so all those things kind of combined just made for Crows, and I feel like it really does kind of embody a lot of what coffee shops are, which is that social aspect. There's a lot of intelligent things happening in coffee shops. There's a lot of unintelligent things happening too, but for the most part, there's a lot of things that are sparked off of just basic conversations that I think can happen right here, and crows are everywhere, and I think so in Kansas City is going to be everywhere soon. So.
And we do want to see this more in Kansas City. Tell us a little bit, Rick, about how your office is planning on to foster these types of places.
Well, yeah, thank you, Keisha. And as the next step to really finding out why coffee shops are attractive to startups, to people working. In this case, I think you get a lot of students that come in here and work. Another key component is not only great coffee, but free Wi-Fi and then the tables, the way you've got it set up with 2 top tables, 4 tops, this community table we're at now, a bar in the window. So like Zach pointed out, there's all kinds of uses that can be made in this space, which is relatively not that large. How large is this?
We're
space?
looking at about 1,000, a little over 1,000 square
Yeah.
feet. And Rick, you nailed it when he said, having a few different spaces in here does create different conversations because you've got, you can go be by yourself at a small 2-top if you want. You can go sit at the lounge chairs and be comfortable and kind of soak in the community around that. Or you can come to the community table here, which is, we call it ear hustling. When you're at this table, ear hustling happens. And
It's
I think
gonna happen.
I have seen so many people become friends right here or ask questions about what they're working on their laptop, and conversations and relationships are built right here at this table and in so many different ways.
So trying to, in my role in the startup and small business community, is trying to identify coffee shops like Crow's that are located in innovative neighborhoods here adjacent to UMKC, adjacent to the Kauffman Foundation, which is just maybe 2 blocks away. In my day, Wednesdays are the Million Cups events at Kauffman Foundation. So they start at 9 a.m. So I'll usually schedule a meeting here, say at 8, or I might just come here to work. And that's like this co-working environment that coffee shops allow. And you'll see that a lot in coffee shops. People with their laptop open, it's a welcome thing. Price of admission is a cup of coffee.
Cup of coffee, pretty cheap.
Yeah.
And then maybe don't hog a big table, but so I'll either come here, hang out, do some work, I'll come here, have a meeting. But what happens during that time is that serendipitous collision density that we've been talking about, that you put yourself in a location like this where creative people are going to show up, maybe someone that I'm working on a project with is just going to show up here, and we'll be able to check in on that briefly and quickly, which is kind of different than the let's have lunch, which is more of a commitment. It's like an hour that you're going to be sitting there. Maybe you lose a lot in the conversation because you're eating. But if you're just there hanging out for coffee, it might be a 15-minute conversation. It might be an hour-long conversation. But it might then, which something that we're trying to pick up on here is, so say Zach and I have a meeting, but we sit at a 4-top table. Somebody walks in that we know, and as you look at coffee shop culture and the etiquette behind it, if I know the person, I'm going to introduce him to Zach. If he knows the person, he's going to introduce him to me. And then you have this business card exchange, maybe a little 30-second networking conversation about what you're working on, and that can lead to helping accelerate that person's idea or an idea or something that we're working on. So that's the power of a well-run, well-located
Community
coffee shop.
hub, so to
Right,
speak.
right.
And Zach, is there what went into the setup of it? Was this by chance, or did you do research and find out what type of relationships you wanted to spark?
I'd like to say I did a whole bunch of market research and was really smart about it, but what I really, the thought that I put into it is being in coffee shops all over this country for all those years that I did it, and knowing what made me feel comfortable in what situation. I know when I don't want to talk to anybody, I know I can go sit in a certain spot. I know if I'm feeling like I'm open to conversation, I know I can go sit in this spot right here. The layout of all this, I think, creates a feeling, a comfort, and that comfort is what is going to draw people in. That comfort is going to make people feel open to talking to other people they don't know, to introducing each other, and to having that open dialogue to where you don't just go up to somebody at a restaurant and interrupt their dinner and say, hey, I'm going to sit down and talk to you for 20 minutes.
Right, you might say hi, but you're not going to break out a laptop.
Right, break out a laptop, start showing diagrams and what's going on in your business. Coffee shop, I feel, is a little more open like that. However, you can choose to shut yourself down if you want to. At least I feel that's how it should be. And there's a lot of good places in Kansas City that do that very well.
Have you had any success stories that come back to you and tell you, hey, I was at your coffee shop and I was just working on the project and boom, this happened?
Well, I don't know that there's any monumental story that came out of here, but I hear a lot of, man, I met in this important Kansas City figure in your shop, or I made a big connection that led to a job, or we have had a couple that was in here that met for the first time in here and now they're married. Wow. So, I mean, like, there's just so, I mean, it can be business, it can be social, it can be friendly, it can be all these different types of things, but I don't know, you can't just nail a coffee shop down to one thing other than it's just community based. Mm-hmm. And people come here for all sorts of different reasons.
And in some of the conversations I've had at Starbucks, they have this concept of a third space, that you have home, you've got work, and then you've got that third space you can go for community, which is the coffee shop. So that exists here at Crow's and then other places throughout the city.
And I think you get a lot more done when you're away from your home or away from the places that you're at a lot. I think you feel a little more creative. Mm-hmm. There's a lot more juice to start flowing, at least for me, as soon as I can get out of the house. I mean, I know I can go do all the work that I do here at home, sure, but there's an enjoyment factor to it. There's a concentration. I somehow feel better at concentrating here than I do at home sometimes.
And someone who's going to help you accelerate your idea isn't necessarily just going to walk in the front door of your house.
Exactly.
Right? So you have to be able to put yourself in a location like this where those kind of introductions are going to happen, interactions will happen.
I caught myself at several coffee shops before I opened this coffee shop. I would sit in these coffee shops, and a lot of times I would go to these particular places knowing that I was going to hear people talking about coffee or how to run a coffee shop. Or maybe I saw another person in there trying to start a coffee shop, and then now there's two of us and they're doing the same exact thing, and now we're bouncing ideas off of each other. Or I'm overhearing a conversation from another coffee shop owner, and I can say, hey, I'm Zach, I'm trying to start these are all things that happen and that still happen in here, and it's pretty great to see.
And I mentioned a million cups, and it's telling that event for entrepreneurs is called a million cups, because the idea is that it takes a million cups of coffee to build your $1 billion startup. So you see a lot of traffic come through here on Wednesdays in the startup community.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of the relationships, because of course 1 Million Cups is a great place to go for the community to meet and network. But where do these guys go after this to continue the conversation? They are always coming here or another local coffee shop in town. Or maybe it's not local, but they're going to a coffee shop. They're going to a great place that they can continue the conversation. They know what to expect when they go to the coffee shop. They know there's no timeline. There's no surprises. So it's just a perfect environment to continue conversation from 1 Million Cups.
Right. It is. This place is a great environment to just come here and bang out some work or accidentally meet someone. You never know when you're coming to places like these. So you're definitely thinking about being a little bit more innovative or thinking outside the box. I definitely recommend you coming to Crow's Coffee Shop. Give us the location, Zach.
We have a location here in South Plaza at 304 East 51st Street, which is South Plaza area, right next to UMKC. And then we just opened up our second location in Waldo, which is in 74th and Washington, the former Coffee Girls location.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Zach, for allowing us to come to your beautiful shop. And Rick, is there anything you'd like to say to the people of Kansas City?
Well, you can follow Crow's Coffee on Twitter
We have at crowscoffee.com, and then of course Instagram and Facebook as well.
And it's at Crow's Coffee?
At Crow's Coffee, at Crow's Coffee on Instagram,
So it's always appropriate, to tweet a selfie while you're having a meeting at Crow's and promote locally owned coffee shops.
Yes, absolutely. We're all about small businesses and locally owned. And again, don't forget to follow Rick on Twitter.
At RUKCMO.
Yes, and check out that innovative map of the coffee shops in the area. If you're looking to settle in any place that's in your area, definitely check that out. And is there anything else, guys?
Thank you, Keisha. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, guys. And what's up, Kansas City? Again, this is Keisha, and remember to know better is to do better.